The British Empire is often remembered through the comforting lens of progress, a grand project that supposedly spread law, industry, language, and modern institutions across the globe. Yet when we set aside nostalgia and examine the record, as historians do today, a far harsher reality comes into focus. The empire was not a humanitarian mission, nor a civilizing gift to the world. It was, at its core, a vast system built on economic extraction, coercive rule, and racial hierarchy, one that reshaped societies in ways that caused deep and lasting harm. From the outset, the empire functioned primarily to serve Britain's interests. Colonial economies were engineered to funnel wealth toward the metropole. Resources flowed outwards: cotton, tea, minerals, rubber, while imported British goods flooded local markets, destroying established industries such as the renowned textile production of Bengal. Tax systems were imposed not to fund local development but to push populations into wage labor that supported imperial needs. Even the infrastructure that imperial apologists often celebrate, railways, ports, telegraphs, was designed primarily to move troops and extract resources, not to empower colonized peoples or stimulate their economic independence. Because the vast majority of the empire's subjects did not choose to live under British rule, violence became an essential instrument of governance. This was not incidental, nor the exception to an otherwise benign system. It was the mechanism by which control was asserted and preserved. In India, after the 1857 rebellion, British reprisals involved mass executions and village burnings intended to terrorize entire communities into submission. In Kenya, during the 1950s, the colonial government operated an extensive network of detention camps where torture, forced labor, and abuse were widely documented. In Ireland, Egypt, Cyprus, and many parts of Africa, martial law, collective punishment, and aggressive policing were commonplace tools of rule. The common claim that the British Empire was somehow more humane than other empires falters under the weight of such evidence. Underlying these practices was an ideology of racial superiority that shaped nearly every aspect of imperial policy. British officials and intellectuals widely believed that colonized peoples were inherently less capable and required European oversight. This worldview justified the seizure of land for white settlers, the exclusion of local populations from political power, and the creation of segregated education and employment systems that entrenched inequality. Racism, far from being an unfortunate side element, was the moral and intellectual foundation that made imperial domination appear both necessary and righteous to its administrators. The cultural impact of empire was equally profound. Colonial rule frequently undermined indigenous governance, languages, religions, and social structures. Missionaries and administrators sought to reshape family life, gender norms, and belief systems to mirror British expectations. Artistic and cultural treasures were removed from their countries of origin, often through coercion or outright theft, and placed in British museums under the guise of preservation. These actions were not simply misguided attempts at improvement, but deliberate efforts to reorder societies in ways that served British strategic, economic, and cultural interests. When Britain retreated from its empire, the withdrawal was often hurried and careless, leaving behind deeply fragile political structures. The partition of South Asia in 1947, the product of rushed planning and inadequate understanding, led to the largest mass migration in human history and the deaths of more than 1 million people. Artificial borders drawn across Africa and the Middle East ignored ethnic and linguistic realities, seeding tensions that later erupted into conflict. Many of the constitutional systems left behind were ill-suited to the societies they were supposed to govern, reflecting imperial convenience rather than local needs. To confront this history honestly is not to indulge in guilt, nor to deny that individuals within the empire sometimes acted with compassion or integrity. It is simply to acknowledge what the empire fundamentally was: a structure designed to enrich one nation through the domination of many others, sustained by force and justified by racial ideology. While Britain today is not responsible for the sins of its past, it is responsible for understanding them clearly and resisting the temptation to rewrite them as a national triumph. The true legacy of the British Empire is not a romantic story of global improvement. It is a history of exploitation, disruption, and inequality, whose consequences continue to shape the modern world. To recognize this is not unpatriotic. It is a necessary step toward understanding the world honestly, without the comforting distortions of imperial nostalgia.